Hello and welcome to our very first episode of the Export Insider, brought to you by Exports St. Lucia. On the Export Insider, we want to give you a first-hand look at what goes into St. Lucia's exports. And where best to start than with the foremost authority on exports, Exports St. Lucia. Exports St. Lucia is the St. Lucian government's national trade export and promotion agency, and is a lead agency mandated to spearhead the island's national export development efforts. The overall objective is to increase the aggregate volume and value of exports from St. Lucia. Exports St. Lucia works to promote and expand business in export markets around the world. The agency aspires to increase local exports to assist local businesses improve profitability and long-term sustainability, thus making a direct and valuable contribution to the St. Lucian economy. In recent years, the agency has seen much success, and CEO of Exports St. Lucia, Ms. Sunita Daniel, said that there is no sign of slowing down.
In 2019, a few of the things we did was we entered into new markets which we had not been in before. A bigger accomplishment for us was bringing in new products into traditional markets. So existing markets like the UK, we had never shipped, let's say, CMOS. For the first time, we were able to do that. So we expanded the levels of products that we are sending into those markets. We are also able to get grant funding to build up the honey sector, branding of Carnival with Event St. Lucia, and also grant funding for agricultural pack housing. We have a national export strategy 2020 to 2024 we're going to be focused on implementing. So inside of that strategy, it kind of guides us as to what we'll be doing into the next 4 years. What I can tell you we'll be focusing on this year is branding, a lot of branding of our products, making sure that we grow the amount of products that are sent out into the existing markets. We are also going to be paying particular attention to Article 164 and assisting our businesses in ensuring that they make the maximum use of the conditions that are there in Article 164. So you'll be seeing a lot more assistance to companies to assist them in their trade facilitation. Exports St. Lucia in 2019, for example, we can say that we saw, and the data can verify, that we were able to raise the revenues of a lot of companies in St. Lucia. Through our efforts, companies were given a lot of contracts in external markets, and they were able to meet those contracts. Another thing we found happening is that for us is the work we've done in agriculture and in the agricultural sector. So a lot of farmers now have increased revenues in their own little enterprises. But for us, the major accomplishment was the creation of employment, particularly in agriculture. Quite a few jobs were created in the agricultural sector. In CMOS, for example, 100 new jobs were created in that area. So for us, it's really been an increase in revenues to businesses and also increase in employment for our normal St. Lucians and for St. Lucians involved in the agricultural sector. Definitely coming up this year, our focus will change a bit to manufacturing. So we're hoping that in 2020, that these same successes in the agricultural sector can then be transferred into the manufacturing sector.
There you have it, straight from the CEO herself. Exports St. Lucia is always on the move, and there is absolutely no sign of slowing down. So I know what's on your mind. Questions like, how can I get assistance from Exports St. Lucia? Or what are some of the services offered by the agency? Luckily, we also got the chairperson of the National Export Council, Mrs. Margaret Daisy, to shed some light on these, so hopefully you can become a client.
So we offer training to our entrepreneurs and also to the employees in different ways in terms of costing, ensuring that whatever product that you're going to export, you get the proper margin and profits for that. We offer training in terms of quality, standards. We encourage standards, and we offer training for standards. We actually do market research to ensure that the different markets that we're trying to penetrate, that they are markets that's viable and that the products and the demand can increase. So these are some of the core training and benefits that we offer. And we also have the support in that we have our team who actually take the product to market, and that's important. So you are never alone with Exports St. Lucia. We always have a team member who's there with you to ensure that the alliances and the networks that we build globally, that we stand behind the brand Export St. Lucia. Every single business or entrepreneur in St. Lucia can become a client. It is a service that's available. The government has made it available to the people of St. Lucia. And you need to come in if you have an idea, if you have a product, if you have service and you want to offer service, you want to open a business where you want to offer specific service. I think Export St. Lucia is very critical in that the government formed Export St. Lucia as an agency to help and support the St. Lucian business to become export ready. So our products will have the right quality, we have the right network out there, and the right market to market our product, and also to ensure that whatever we send out there is different, to differentiate our product from other brands, so there is higher demand for it. In terms of impact, we've seen that export has grown over the years and it continues to grow, and we see that there are higher demands for our product.
This definitely has me thinking, what can I export? So if you're like me and thinking about your next export prospect, I'm sure that Export St. Lucia will be more than happy to assist. When we come back, Minister for Commerce, Industry, Investment, Enterprise Development and Consumer Affairs, Honorable Bradley Felix, gives his view on Export St. Lucia's efforts. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So we've heard from Export St. Lucia and the work that is being done. Export St. Lucia remains without a doubt the go-to for everything exports. Working in tandem with partner agencies and movers and shakers in various sectors, the agency has quickly been able to amass its clout as an entity that gets things done. But how do those efforts fare in the eyes of the line minister? Minister for Commerce, Industry, Investment, Enterprise Development and Consumer Affairs, Honorable Bradley Felix, during last year's budget debates, hailed the agency and its efforts as, quote, exemplary. He said that he is very much looking forward to the agency's continued success.
I think Export St. Lucia is becoming more of a household name. More people are becoming aware of what their mandate is, what their focus is. They've been reaching out to a lot more of our grassroots farmers and producers, and just if they continue on that line, I am sure we will see the thrust by our producers to up their game. We have Bureau of Standards who's working very closely to ensure that the quality of what we produce is up there on the international level. And hand in hand with Export St. Lucia and other agencies, I can only expect the best.
The minister also spoke to the revision of the Fiscal Incentives Act.
The government has to ensure that we maintain the competitiveness and the productivity of our manufacturers, and so part of that amendment was to provide incentives to manufacturers who would be doing any new investment within the range of $1 million to $5 million. They would be eligible to 50% corporate tax exemption. And if they were going to do investments in excess of $5 million, they would get 75% corporate tax exemption. In addition to that, the government recently, effective January, approved the extension of Article 164. And Article 164 extension would mean that our manufacturers would be able to continue to have that sort of protection, so they would be able to have more regional exports. So these are some of the ways that government has supported.
Nothing but good stuff coming from the minister, not only on the export agency, but also how the government is assisting in furthering the island's exports. Now it's time to hear from the people that export St. Lucia services, the exporters. They come from all sectors of our society, including but not limited to manufacturing, agriculture, creative industries, services, and much, much more. Let's hear about their relationship with Export St. Lucia.
Our recent entry into the Cuban market, for example, Export St. Lucia has been a tremendous help in accomplishing that goal, being one of the first companies to be in the Cuban market.
Export St. Lucia actually assisted me and got in contact with the Ministry of Education in Dominica, who ordered a container of PVC cladding for the schools in Dominica. And of course, it's used here in the schools. It's very important because the termite is a major problem in the Caribbean. And therefore, this product will last 10 years. And in some cases, I've seen some of the product last more than 10 years. We are looking at working with, as usual, with Exports St. Lucia to work with us, to continue working with us, to see how we can get our products out, including continuing working with them to see what can be done about Cuba and whether we should move forward with Cuba.
Exports St. Lucia has been very good to us. We started our relationship with Exports St. Lucia about 2 years ago. What happened is we discussed with one of the agents how our services can be brought to another island, and the first one was Dominica.
My goal was always to reach other countries besides St. Lucia with my artwork, since most of my art, the patrons are usually tourists who travel to the island. So Export St. Lucia has aided me in fine-tuning my portfolio and whatever I need to export myself properly and professionally to represent my home country, St. Lucia, with my artwork. A big one, I would say, was my exhibition at the Burton Agnes Hall. They aided with finding out the location and putting everything together so that on that event, it was a jazz event, but there were other musicians and other painters as well representing St. Lucia.
And just like that, we have come to the end of our very first episode of the Export Insider. Hope you got to know a little bit more about Export St. Lucia and the work that the agency has been doing. Join us again on Monday at 9 p.m. as we continue our exciting journey through the world of exports. Don't forget to follow Export St. Lucia on all social media platforms at Export St. Lucia or visit our website at www.exportstlucia.org. See you next time.